Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q1 FY22 Mahanagar Gas Limited conference call hosted by Centrum Broking Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Probal Sen from Centrum Broking Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Malika. First of all, thank you everyone for making the time to attend this Q1 FY22 briefing by the management of Mahanagar Gas. I would like to apologize for the delay of a few minutes. There were some technical issues we were struggling with at the beginning, but thankfully everybody is dialed in now. With us, we have senior members of Mahanagar Gas management, including Mr. Sanjeev Datta, the Managing Director, Mr. Sanjay Shinde, Deputy Managing Director, Mr. S. Tanade, the CFO, and Mr. Rajesh Wagle, the Senior Vice President Marketing. So before handing over to them, I would like to hand over to Gauri Kanitkar from EY, who handles the IR for NGL. She has a regulatory announcement, and then we will go straight to the management. Gauri, over to you.
Thank you, Probal. Before we begin, I would like to mention that some of the statements made in today's discussion may be forward-looking in nature, and we believe that expectations contained in the statement are reasonable. However, the nature involves a number of risks and uncertainties that may lead to different results. The risks and uncertainties relating to these statements include, but are not limited to, the risks and uncertainties regarding fluctuations in sales volume, fluctuations in foreign exchange, other costs, and our ability to manage growth. I urge you to consider that the quarterly numbers are not a reflection of long-term trends or an indication of full-year results, and they should not be attempted to be extrapolated or interpolated into full-year numbers. With this, I will hand over the call to the management for their opening remarks. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the earnings conference call of Mahanagar Gas Limited for the first quarter of the financial year 2021-2022. I would like to thank all of you who have connected for our earnings call today. The outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and its second wave in April 2021 have resulted in significant disturbances and slowdown of economic activities. The company's operations were impacted due to the lockdown. This has resulted in reduction of sales volume across all segments except domestic PNG, where it is used mainly for cooking. Impact of the pandemic is still not over, and as we overcome our health and economic crisis of very large proportion, let us hope that things get back to complete normalcy at the earliest. During the full and partial lockdowns, gas supplies to all our customers remained operational 24/7. Our emergency control room and customer care services have also remained operational for meeting all emergency needs and for ensuring customer support while adhering to the required safety and social distancing guidelines. Coming to MGL's operations, I may mention that we are continuously expanding our CGD network in the existing license areas. During the quarter, 29,162 domestic households were connected, and thus we have established connectivity for nearly 1.63 million households. We have laid 43.12 kilometers of steel and PE pipelines, thereby taking the aggregated pipeline length 6,950 kilometers. We have also added 5 new CNG stations, and with these, we currently have a total of 274 stations. We have also added 40 industrial and commercial customers, and thus, as on quarter end, we have 4,196 industrial and commercial customers. In respect of our Raigad GA, we are connected to 41,072 domestic households and 19 CNG stations are operational. During the quarter, in Raigad GA, we have laid 7.94 kilometers of pipeline, thereby taking the total length of pipeline to 268.81 kilometers. We have also commissioned a mobile refueling unit in Raigad a first of its kind in the country. There is a reduction of 17.1% in the overall sales volumes compared to the previous quarter due to the second wave of COVID-19 at the beginning of the quarter. During the quarter, we achieved overall average sales volume of 2.398 MMSCMD, consisting of CNG volume of 1.551 MMSCMD and domestic PNG volume of 0.468 MMSCMD, while 0.380 MMSCMD of gas was supplied to the industrial and commercial segments. Compared to the previous quarter, sales volume in case of CNG has decreased from 2.024 MMSCMD to 1.551 MMSCMD, which is a decrease of 23.4%. In case of industrial and commercial sales, volume has decreased from 0.411 MMSCMD to 0.380 MMSCMD, a decrease of 7.5%. However, sales for domestic PNG has increased from 0.457 MMSCMD to 0.468 MMSCMD, which is an increase of 2.4%. Current quarter EBITDA is 304 crore rupees compared to previous quarter EBITDA of rupees 316 crore. EBITDA margin is at 49.39% for quarter 1 compared to previous quarter EBITDA margin of 44.05%. Net profit after tax is 204 crore rupees for the quarter as compared to 213 crore in the previous quarter. With this, I conclude and would now like to open the floor for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. Am I audible properly?
Yeah, you are perfectly audible.
Great. Sir, first question is on the industrial customers. There seems to be some price increase taken in this quarter over there that led to good margin. Just wanted to check that is the average pricing is still remaining the same, or have you taken further price increase in the industrial customers in month of July?
Are you talking with reference to industrial pricing?
Yes, correct.
No, our pricing policy, there is no change. Whatever policy we have been following, it continues, which is briefly it is indexed to alternate fuel.
So, but the outcome of that policy in this quarter was there is certainly a price increase which has led to higher margin here. So I'm just trying to understand that from an absolute price which was prevailing in the June quarter for us, how has the pricing changed now in July? Is it the same pricing, or has there been a change in pricing to industrial and commercial customers?
No, July we can't talk right now. Obviously, this call is for quarter 1. But if you are talking about the rise in sales realization, then that fact is true even for last quarter as compared to Q4 of financial year 2021. If that is the question which we wish to take up, then the rise has taken place basically since there was a upward change in the alternate fuels like LSHS, FO, etc. And we already told you our pricing is such that it is indexed to these alternate fuels. That is the precise reason why sales realization has gone up in industrial as well as commercial sales category. In commercial restaurant category, it is pegged to basically 19 kg cylinders, commercial cylinders. So that's the primary reason why realization has gone up in this quarter 1 compared to earlier quarter.
Sure, sir. Thank you. And second, I wanted some clarity on this mobile refueling unit. Just trying to understand this, how far are we from on the regulation front for getting approval to, let's say, use this MRUs in housing societies, office complexes, etc. So where does that stand right now?
See, this is the first of its kind that we have installed in a place called Ajiveli on the old Mumbai-Pune highway. Essentially, the utility of MRU, the MRU concept is more, is for a congested city like Mumbai rather than in GST Raigarh, where space is not much of a constraint. But we wish to develop some operational expertise in operating that MRU, so that's the reason why we have put it up there. Secondly, is that the MRU that is installed in Ajiveli has secured its full set of regulatory approvals, primarily from PESO. Now we know that what kind of regulatory or statutory safety related regulations or guidelines are to be maintained in such a location. But having said that, for individual installations that we will where we propose to set up these MRUs, we will have to seek an approval from PESO. So on a case-to-case basis, wherever we decide to install an MRU, whether it's in a parking lot or in a vacant space like in the city, so we will have to undertake a localized study, secure certain permissions, and then approach PESO for approval. So and what PESO has also done is that it has approved.
Hello.
Hello, I can't hear the management.
Yeah, Malika, I believe has the management got disconnected?
Yes, sir. The line for the management is disconnected. Kindly stay online till I reconnect them.
Anubhav, give us a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, the line for the management is reconnected. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, the call had dropped. So we were on this issue of MRU. So the other point that I wish to add is that we are in the process of formulating a kind of an expression of interest. So for pursuing inviting bids to put up this kind of MRUs in the municipal areas of MCGM, Thane, Mira Bhayandar, and Navi Mumbai. So for which every specific site that would be on offer will have to secure its own regulatory approvals.
Thank you, sir. Just a clarity on this. No more question on this, but how many MRUs, let's say, to look forward in the next 2 years, you're looking to put 10, 20, or 50? What's the number you're looking forward to?
So the concept is new, and though we wish to, we probably will be able to answer it in a future call once we have the feedback from our UI exercise that we wish to hold very soon. So maybe that will give us a better indication what is the what the numbers that we are likely to hit in next 2 years' time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Rustogi from UBS. Please go ahead.
Sir, thanks for giving me opportunity and congratulations for a wonderful result. Sir, I have two questions. One relating to the Maharashtra government EV policy. So what do you think would be the impact on our long-term customers in this because of this policy, like auto rickshaws and others? Have we done any analysis on that?
Well, I think we have been answering this question on almost all the earning calls which we have been having, and our view remains consistent that yes, EVs will have some market share going forward, but not to such a large extent that it becomes a very big risk for MGL. Well, and our belief is that initially it will start from the smaller vehicles, the two-wheelers and then the three-wheelers, etc. But a large majority of our CNG volume comes from taxis and private cars. Of course, there are a good number of auto rickshaws also there. But these auto rickshaws, 3.5 lakh of them, they have valid permits, they have invested the money. So we are sure that the government will allow them to run the course of their economic life at least. And whether in a city like Mumbai, which is, it's a vertical city, whether there will be enough electric charging infrastructure available to support a large-scale EV conversion program in the next 3 to 5 years, we have our doubts. So yes, EVs will remain a long-term, development, but our belief is it will not eliminate CNG or for that matter even eliminate petrol or diesel. These fuels will coexist for some time.
And two-wheelers anyway, it's not our market. Right now we are almost nothing.
Yeah, okay, got it, sir. And sir, could you comment on what is our 3 years target in terms of stations, whether including MRUs, and what is our growth strategy for the next 2 to 3 years? And if we can talk about LNG for transportation as well, if we have done some work on these items.
Okay, so on domestic front, we will be targeting to roll out 300,000 connections this year. So that is the target we have set for ourselves. We did 200,000 year before the COVID thing happened. Last year, of course, we were at 1,21,000. So 300,000 target is what we have set for ourselves. And on top of it, as far as CNG stations are concerned, last year we had opened 15 stations and we had upgraded, I think, around 25. So this year also we plan to do at least 20 odd new stations and upgrade another 25-30 existing stations. And as far as MRU is concerned, as I had just responded, that with regard to MRU, we will have to wait for some more time. We just want to. This is a new concept which is being introduced in the market. It has to cross some initial hurdles of authorization by various authorities, and other authorities should start getting a sense of comfort with this new concept. And so we think that 8 to 10 should be a good number to start with in this year, because the advantage is that the lead time is very short. So once we place an order, it's only a matter of putting up a cascade and a cylinder and a compressor and a dispenser on a truck, and then take it and drive it to a location and then start dispensing and ply it between mother station and that location to get it filled up. So the gestation period of these projects or individual projects is going to be short. So we hope that 8 to 10 number is something which we should target to achieve in the short term in this year, or maybe in the year this year and next financial year. And as far as LNG station is concerned, as you may be aware that we are planning to erect 2 stations. One is under construction in Sabroli near Khalapur. Near Khalapur. So there the LNG tanks have all been installed. So we wish to commission in the second half of or by the fag end of this year. And the other station that we are planning to put up is on the Mumbai-Nashik highway. The land has been shortlisted, and there it may take a year and a half to put up that station. But 2 stations in the proximity of 25-30 kilometers should be good enough to serve the market for the time being.
Okay, great, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. And I'll come back in the queue for more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question from the line of Sabri Hazarika from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. I have 3 questions. The first one pertains to the sharp quarter-on-quarter reduction in gas costs. So, anything specific, because there has been not much change in various parameters except spot was down, but that also shouldn't have led to 11-12% kind of QOQ drop in unit gas prices.
You have partly yourself answered. The reason is obviously spot gas. The prices have dropped from almost $10 MMBTU to $7 MMBTU. That's number one. Secondly, in case of this RIL gas also, which we have contracted for 1 lakh SCMD, that price was also bit down. And you have to remember as compared to the normal business, CNG sales is substantially down. So on weighted average base, generally industrial commercial as a percentage is at least 16% or so. But in this case, it has been relatively higher. So a combined effect of this is that whatever gas costs we are observing, which is down from 9.83 per SCM to 8.70.
And what is the current level? Are we back? What should the current run rate for that?
Volumes point of view?
No, from that 8.7. So how much is it right now? What should it be? Any estimate, rough cut estimate?
I think we cannot directly talk to you about that, but from volumes point of view, CNG is definitely picking up fast now. So otherwise, obviously, APM there is no change, but spot gas has gone up substantially. I think the spot is hovering around even $14 MMBTU, and maybe for some time it will continue at least $10-12. So it's definitely a bit costlier right now.
Okay. Second question pertains to this ONGC GAIL pipeline. I think you have taken this recent price hike as a response. I think after the APTEL transferring it back to PNGRB, so it is certain that this impact would come into your financials, right?
No, I think, okay, first of all, this is a subject matter of Q2, this development, whatever price rise, etc. we have taken, it's in Q2, so not too much we can talk right now. We'll have to concentrate on Q1 results. But since this is the question which you have specifically asked, as well as I know many others may be interested in knowing this. So what we can briefly at least explain, though detailed explanations will be given little later, but whatever the price rise has been taken is predominantly to take care of the transportation cost increase which has happened in case of that Uran-Trombay pipeline, which effect from 6th or 7th July, this current quarter. What has happened, so going forward there is a change in the transportation cost, for which one of the primary reasons was this price rise has been taken apart from many other things. Whereas earlier period, the court case or whatever the case which was already going on continues, that case has not yet been decided. In fact, APTEL has remanded back that case back to PNGRB to review it, and this time APTEL has even almost pointed out what are the specific questions or matters which PNGRB should look into before giving their once again their verdict. So past, it still continues to be a contingent liability, whereas going forward, no doubt the transportation cost has increased and MGL has also accepted it, but for which we have already taken a price rise to cover up the cost.
Okay, got it. And just lastly, it is in addition to this only that Now you have taken this hike, which is quite, I mean, 2.6 is a significant hike compared to past levels. But and going forward, we expect that there's an expectation that maybe gas prices can jump by almost more than $1 per MMBTU, which could roughly translate into 6-7 rupees per kilo kind of an increase for you in case of CNG. So are you comfortable taking such a hike at one go, or would you be would you try to take it gradually? And whether that upcoming gas price hike, some of them has already been taken in this recent 2.6 rupees hike or not actually?
See, ability to pass through the cost is definitely there with the company. What another important factor needs to be seen, what is the value proposition we are offering in indirectly, what is the price levels of petrol and diesel. As long as right now, the discount levels are almost 66% and something like 47% as compared to petrol and diesel. So such scenario continues, or if this differential even widens, we might be in a position to take the price rise even within one shot also. But any time we take any pricing decision, we make a combination of what is the cost impact for us. At the same time, our primary motto of the company is always to offer value proposition and keep encouraging, new conversions and adoption of CNG by vehicle owners. So I think depending upon these two factors, the decision will be taken. Though one line answer is ability exists.
Okay, and this 13 to 14 rupees EBITDA per SCM is, I think, is it sustainable, or it is I mean, should we start assuming this, or do you think that it can be more range bound between 12 to 14, something of that sort?
Yeah, I think you have already asked two questions. I think let others ask.
Yeah, the last one. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Okay. See, this is a bit complex question right now to answer, but hopefully it should be a question in the minds of everybody. So maybe right now I will try to elaborate. See, there are at least 6-7 factors which we'll have to take into consideration when we are talking about this EBITDA. This not necessarily in a particular order. If we talk about I&C margins will be dependent upon sales realization on one hand and cost of spot gas or whatever RLNG we procure. So hopefully with the oil price levels remaining same, whatever they are as it is, or might be even higher kind of thing, then the sales realization should be okay. From that point of view, margin can continue in industrial sales. Whereas right now we talked about there has been some increase in spot gas which we have recently seen. I mean, reaching as high as even $14. So there could be some adverse impact on I&C margin from spot gas point of view. But some solace to us is, I think we did some efficient action in contracting out for RIL gas, and around 1 lakh standard cubic meter of gas which will be available to industrial and commercial, which will be much cheaper than the spot gas. That's going to be one of the advantages which will continue even in the future also for us. Another important factor in case of domestic and CNG, whatever transportation cost rise or anything we are talking about, we have already taken the price rise in the month of July. So that though transportation cost is going to increase going forward, particularly for Uran Trombay, the cost is already covered up, so at least status quo can be maintained, particularly from that factor point of view in case of CNG and domestic margins. Another important factor could be in case of CNG volumes are picking up well now, and there is some talk of lockdown even getting lifted either fully or at least further getting relaxed by August 1st or so. So that will lead to a good jump in CNG volume, which may in turn result into drop of per SCM OPEX, which can help us to to improve to some extent EBITDA margin. But there are other factors which also need to be borne in mind. Is this negotiations with OMCs are still on for a trade discount, so that could be a very important point to wait for and look into. It can have a good amount of impact on the margins of the company. So all these factors need to be taken into consideration. Saying just now one-liner answer is going to be very difficult for margin point of view. And last but not least, I think I forgot to mention, most important is Forex, rupee-dollar exchange rate, because most of the gas, in fact, almost all gas is procured in dollar terms, whereas sales realization in rupee terms. So that external factors also we need to bear in mind. Minimum all these factors need to be taken into consideration. But whatever it may be, I think what's important to see is in absolute terms, the rupee per SCM margin is very sound, and last year also it was somewhere around 11.5 rupees if you know for 2021. So we are confident at least better than last year's margin will continue, and on standalone basis also these are attractive margins, even if by chance we have to assume that some adverse impact is to be seen in next quarter.
Thank you so much for this detailed explanation, and all the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, I would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Mayur Patel from IIFL Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Can you just give some color about what is the improvement in conversion of CNG vehicles, private vehicles currently? Because now things have opened up in Bombay, and per month basis, if you can share some insight, it would be helpful.
If you look at the CNG vehicles addition quarter on quarter, in Q1 actually there was a small dip because of the second wave which hit in April and a bit of May. So the conversion numbers were lower than the Q4 numbers of last year. But now with the things improving, we are seeing a lot of new interest coming into the OE segment, especially where Maruti, Hyundai, Honda, Toyota, everybody, and Tatas are now planning to come in. Maruti was always there, but the others are also now joining with a lot of OE variants in CNG. Tata has recently announced CNG versions of Tiago and Tigor. And Maruti has recently announced CNG versions of Swift and Swift Desire. So, and with the price differential between CNG and petrol, which we are seeing nowadays, that we are seeing now more private car sales than sale of these new auto rickshaws and taxis. So going forward, assuming third wave is not imminent or whatever, our CNG volumes have picked up to what they were at pre-COVID levels. Hopefully going forward, there will be growth from here.
So we have already reached the pre-COVID level, CNG volumes?
In the current quarter...
No, sir, I am talking about the current month in August. Now things have, every month the volume pickup is better for every industry now.
We can't really comment on July, but in Q1 we had not hit pre-COVID levels. And yes, we are maybe at 95 to 100% of that level.
Yeah, fast improving, I think, definitely. And with this talk of from 1st August opening up and all that, I think definitely we should be able to achieve those levels.
Okay. And sir, in the past, the management has always, given this confidence that whenever there is any increase in OMC commission or APM price hike, given that we have that pricing power and the discount to petrol and diesel is very attractive, we will, go ahead and pass it on to maintain margins. So is it fair to assume that there is not much risk on these two factors?
It all depends. Ultimately, it's a matter of negotiation. So until final figures are out, straight away it cannot be commented. But right now, these OMCs are trying to negotiate on pan-India basis. So it is going to be definitely a complex matter for them also, that whether it could be the common price rise for each and every CGD entity. That factor also remains to be seen. There are oil marketing companies, so even ministerial interventions are possible to be seen over there. And from speaking purely from MGL point of view, definitely ability to pass through is there, because as regards value proposition we offer with respect to diesel or petrol, the discount levels are much more right now. And some amount of provisioning also, whatever on estimated basis we have taken. So we are confident we should be able to take care of the whatever cost increases come up.
Great, this is very helpful. I'll come back for more questions later. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aishwarya Agarwal from Nippon India Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Sir, I couldn't understand. Your current CNG volumes are higher than pre-COVID or not right now?
They are approximately at pre-COVID levels.
Okay. The second is, how do you see the growth in the CNG volumes? Any expectation in terms of 5%, 7%, 10%, or what are the key? See, we understand that there is a difference in the gas and the petrol diesel prices, which should lead to higher conversion for more buying of the CNG vehicles. But are you witnessing those kind of growth or the new vehicle or maybe the lines in your existing outlets?
Yes, we are seeing growth in new vehicle addition, especially in the passenger car segment. As I mentioned earlier, the growth is not that high in the three-wheeler segment. Pre-COVID, usually an equal share used to come from three-wheelers and four-wheeler cars. Now the ratio is more of 2:1. For every two cars, there is only one auto rickshaw. But again, from 1st August or going forward, the volumes and conversions will be a function of how the unlocking progresses. So even today, the government of Maharashtra has been relatively conservative and is maintaining that level 3 kind of shutdown in Mumbai, whereas they could have been a bit more liberal, but they are being conservative. So if the more freedom is given, people will start moving more. CNG sales will definitely increase.
Sure. And second? Yeah.
On the other hand, the third wave comes up next month or 3 months down the line, the numbers will go down again. So it's very difficult to say exactly the next quarter I'll be having 5% growth or But if you look at it directionally, assuming COVID is a transient, maybe 1 year, 2 year kind of a thing, directionally, yes, we have been saying that growth of 5-6% CAGR is possible in years to come. And if there are any regulatory interventions regarding use of clean fuel, etc., like what has happened in Delhi or NCR, then the growth can easily go to double digits.
Sure, sir. And while you anticipate the growth to come, what are your plans to increase your dispensing capacity?
We are doing 2-3 things there. One is, of course, we are opening new stations wherever we can. We are upgrading the capacities of our existing stations wherever we can. we are taking new technological initiatives like we have developed a small footprint CNG station which can come up in just 300-400 square meters of land. Now we have taken that one step further and have started getting into the MRU mode where you don't even need permanent land. So we are trying both and again we are partnering with oil marketing companies, partnering with state transport undertakings, and we are partnering with private entrepreneurs to open as many CNG stations as we can.
So can you quantify, I mean, this the answer you gave is right directionally, but can you quantify your dispensing capacity or maybe the number of dispensers you are going to add in next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years versus what was before?
The number of CNG station additions had been mentioned sometime back.
274 today. No. Totally we have 274 stations with a dispensing capacity of around 35 lakh kgs per day. And we are targeting to add around at least 20 stations this year and upgrade 25-30 stations this year and try to set up 8 to 10 MRUs this year. So this is what is the plan for current year, and going forward we wish to scale it up even further.
And if you want the number of dispensers, on an average each CNG station has got 2 dispensers. These are dual hose dispensers, so that's 4 filling points.
Sure, sir. So that's good. But so these I mean the quantum of jump in terms of capacity addition on the 270, adding 20 dispensers in a year is not a great number, I would say. But I mean this is what I feel. But you can indicate that this 20 dispensers addition can support what kind of volume growth in CNG?
It's not just these 20 CNG stations. You need also keep in mind that the current 274 stations which we have are running at an average utilization of less than 50%. So even without addition of any stations, there is scope to increase sales volumes. But directionally, because demand is there, because we want to stimulate that demand further, we are making sure that on the supply side, to make it as convenient as practically possible for the people to convert to CNG and get their vehicles filled.
So sir, yeah.
The upgradations which we are doing, all the upgradations involve addition of at least 1 more dispenser in the station. So that also adds on to the kitty. And every new station is giving at least 2 dispensers, which is 4 dispensing points. So the addition of dispensing is actually in the hundreds. It's not 20 or 40 or any such number.
Sure, sir. And in this context, also can you help that pre-COVID, what was the utilization of these stations versus we are below 50% now?
Pre-COVID it used to be about 50%. We are marginally below that because we have added some stations in the last year and this year, whereas sales have just about reached pre-COVID levels.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitin Tiwari from Yes Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. My first question is a bookkeeping one. Please give the CNG sales volume in kgs and a bifurcation between industrial and commercial sales.
Yeah, second question first. CNG volumes in kg for this quarter were 10.15 crore as compared to previous quarter if you wish to have 13.35 crores kg. This is CNG in kg. Second question was about industrial commercial sales, isn't it?
Right, sir.
So industrial sales volume is 0.260 MMSCMD this quarter as compared to 0.25 in the previous quarter, that is Q4 last financial year. and commercial category it is 0.120 SCMD Q1, whereas 0.153 in Q4 of the previous financial year.
Great. So thanks for that. And so my second question is regarding the upgradation you spoke about of CNG stations. So what does this upgradation actually basically is about, and what do you do in that upgradation, and what is the kind of investment involved per station when you upgrade?
See, when we talk of upgradation, there could be 2-3 things involved. One is if the life of the compressor is substantially over, then naturally we replace that compressor. That's number one. Secondly, while replacing, if let us say earlier compressor was of 750 SCMH capacity, we may think of putting up 950 or 1200 SCMH capacity compressor also. So throughput level increases and that benefits in dispensing more gas. Upgradation can also mean rearranging the entire design in such a manner that 1 or 2 more dispensers can be put in over there. So this is what we mean when we talk about upgradation of the existing outlets.
And roughly, so what is the investment that is involved in upgradation, and how does that compare vis-a-vis a new station?
No, it's very difficult. It depends on station to station, but there will be marginal difference if the capacity of compressor is getting changed. It generally doesn't change in the direct proportion. That is, if 750 is becoming, let us say 1200 or 950 SCMH, it may not proportionately change. Marginally, it can change. So couple of crores could be involved at the most, even if there is one compressor plus 2 dispensers and other things are involved. Civil related costs are generally very minor.
Right. So staying on that topic of capex, what is the capex number for the year that you have planned?
This one is what we are planning, and one is what is really going to happen on the ground. Right. I think we have drawn up very aggressive plans, but one thing obviously depends upon what's going to happen to lockdown. That is number one. Secondly, even these various statutory approvals which we are required to take, generally all those approvals do come in the form, hard copy form, not in soft form. So those challenges are also faced by us. If we get all these permissions, etc. in time and things start soon, right from 1st August, let us say if we assume lockdown is completely lifted, then from budgetary point of view, we are ready to spend even 800 crores. That kind of aggressive planning we have undertaken. But all depends on the approvals and other things, and of course any resurgence of pandemic related things.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Vidyabhar Ginde from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My first question was that until December 19, you had for CNG and PNG, you used to get some small quantity of Panna Mukta Tapti gas, which was at a high price. And since then, now I think the entire gas which you get is at a low price. So could this change sometime in the future, or do you expect that now you will continue to just get APM gas for CNG and PNG?
Well, we get some APM gas. We also get something called non-APM gas at the same price as the APM gas. And both these put together, meet our requirement. Previously, what we used to get from APM and PMT. And PMT we used to get ex Hazira. So now some of this APM and non-APM gas also GAIL is allocating to us from Hazira. So in effect, yes, our cost had come down a little bit because PMT gas was more expensive compared to APM or non-APM gas.
And PMT as a source has already...
No, I am just saying that some others also. Is it a possibility that, the cheap gas is scarce? So, and there are, as the usage of CJ during COVID probably it is not going up, but as it starts going up, as the CGD sector, which has top priority, starts consuming more and more gas, some other sectors like power, fertilizer get less domestic gas. So could that is it a possibility that they say that you start volumes for CNG and PNG, or you don't see that happening at all?
Can you repeat your question, please?
No. What I was saying is that because CNG and PNG has top priority for usage of domestic gas, and therefore as the domestic APM gas consumed by you keeps going up, that gas availability is very limited. It actually is going down. So as your volumes go up, CGD sector as a whole, CNG and PNG, power, fertilizer are getting less and less of domestic cheap gas. So because of that, could you see a possibility that government says that even for CNG and PNG, you start using maybe some LNG or some of the deregulated gas which gets auctioned? You can use any deregulated.
The fact is the PNG has been accorded top priority based on the Supreme Court decision in the matter of Dharangadhara Prakriti Mandal Limited. This was a precursor to the ministry issuing the guideline according topmost priority to CNG, PNG. So we do not foresee any such thing happening.
If I'm not wrong, Supreme Court was more than happy with 80% of it being APM gas. It was only the minister in Feb 14 changed it to 100%. I think over a period of 2-3 months from December.
That
Supreme Court never said 100%. It said same combination of gas for all CGD companies.
It doesn't even say that, but I'll take that point. But we don't foresee that priority getting changed in near future.
No, not priority. I'm only saying is that you, just as earlier also you were getting even then you were not getting entirely cheap gas. You were getting some Annamukta Tapti. So effectively, that's what I'm just asking you. You don't see that changing. Fair enough.
Even if we have to take in 10% RLNG or some other expensive source of gas, the headroom available for us is huge to increase. Domestic PNG is a price inelastic demand, and people cook at home, and they'll continue to do so. And LPG subsidy has gone away. So currently they are at almost 30% discount to domestic LPG. And in CNG, the kind of headroom which is available. So 10% reduction in domestic gas doesn't really worry us too much.
But to answer your question in short, we do not foresee the possibility of CNG, PNG sector getting allocated less gas than what they are consuming in the previous 6 months.
Okay. My last question here is that given the way Henry Hub and UK NBP prices are moving right now, next year's APM gas is likely to be very sharply higher. Do you think that at some maybe $5, $6, if it moves up to which it is looking like a decent possibility, you may have problem if it gets to that level to maintain these margins. Passing it on largely, I think, is a high possibility. But given the kind of lofty margins you are sitting on, do you think that you will be able to pass on if, let's say, the APM gas, and it looks like a very good possibility that next year's APM gas price in H1 and H2 could be well over $5, could be somewhere between $5 to $6 MMBtu.
If you look at MGL's history, or by MGL, CGD's history, there have been years in which APM gas price had been more than $4, it was touching $5 at one point of time. They have also, flourished in that environment. We were taking a good quantity of PMT gas, which was almost $6 per MMBtu. So it is not that much of a concern. Again, if you're talking can you pass on the price in one shot, or will it be over a period of time, etc., that is something that call will be taking when we know exactly what is the kind of hike which has happened. And the other various factors which the CFO mentioned affecting margins. So we'll be taking a holistic view, keeping in view everything. And of course, the prime concern there is we will not do anything which can potentially impact onboarding of new customers. So we want volume growth. So we will not price our CNG or PNG out of the market.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manikanta Gare from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good evening, sir. Thanks for providing me the opportunity. Just wanted to check on, continue with the previous questionnaire. So in the future, there is a possibility that you may have to club compressed biogas with the APM. And as per the pricing which I see, I think this compressed biogas may be available at $10 to $11 per MMBTU. So that again, even though we don't know the ratio of how much CBG has to be taken, but that can increase the APM gas price, the gas pricing for CNG and the input gas pricing for CNG and domestic PNG. Just wanted to understand, is there any direction or talk when this could get added in your APM gas, when that can come from the government side?
See, there is already a policy in place called SATAT, which is announced by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, wherein we are promoting the uses of compressed biogas. But coming to your specific point, whether it will impact the overall basket of APM APM gas and non-APM gas, which is allocated for CNG, PNG. Going forward, we don't even think that it will touch the percentage of 4 or 5% in the coming few years. So we do not foresee much of an impact on the overall weighted average cost of the APM, non-APM gas available for CNG, PNG.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Somaya from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity, sir. So the question pertains to this 2.6 rupees increase that we have taken. So we have mentioned two cost heads there. One is transportation. And by and large, you have mentioned that it's largely because of transportation. So can you provide between this 2.6, what would be the rough split between transportation and other operational overheads? And what exactly is driving the increase for transportation and operational expenses?
I think details we'll mention at the next call, because this is not the period which we are talking about for. But yes, a major portion is with respect to the transportation cost, and there are some other provisions like these OMC related things and OPEX related provisions are also involved. All that clubbed together, right now that price rise has been taken.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kirtan Mehta from Bank of Baroda Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. I had a question regarding the 800 crore of the aggressive capex plan that you had mentioned. If at all it's possible to sort of really go through the capex plan, what are the key elements of those plans? Could you share some more color on that plan?
Yeah, it is with respect to everything. There are 4 major categories. One is this high pressure pipelines, that is steel pipeline, which we talk about. From supply security point of view, some loopings we are required to do. There are some good portion of steel pipeline which needs to be laid into the Raigad district. It is part of our minimum work program also, as undertaken with PNGRB. There is another important capex aspect with respect to medium pressure pipelines, which are MDP pipelines, which we call it. These are arteries for connecting domestic, industrial, commercial, all types of customers. Third, not necessarily in that particular order, but important capex will be with reference to CNG also, because earlier I think we did mention there will be upgradation of CNG stations as well as new stations which we will be talking about. There is also other element of cost which is a part of either civil cost. There could be some cost relating to our offices, either be it for headquartered office itself or some CRM related offices. And there is of course a normal administrative as well as IT related capital expenditure. So all put together, and this is for all GA1, GA2, GA3 put together, which we have mentioned that given a choice, lockdown is lifted, all approvals come in pretty fast the way we expect, then we have ability to, or we have even planned for or drawn up plans for ambitious 800 crore capex plan.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Varatharajan Shivashankaran from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you may go ahead, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about the disturbance. I have two questions. One, with regard to your BEST buses and whatever updates you were giving earlier, where are we today? And secondly, any kind of a breakup in terms of Raigad district versus the Mumbai GA, in terms of the new stations and all the other numbers you gave out. Thank you.
Mr. Varatharajan, can you be louder and can you repeat your questions, please?
Yes, sir. So one on the BEST buses and whatever updates you were giving earlier, where in the currently, and two, the breakup in terms of new stations between Raigad district and the original GA.
Well, as regards BEST, 500 buses had added on some months back. They have come out with a fresh procurement plan for another 500, and we are expecting that those 500 buses will come on stream within the next 2 to 3 quarters. And we are upgrading our CNG infrastructure inside the BEST depots to accommodate these buses.
And I think your second question was probably something to do with CNG infrastructure or outlets in Raigad. Currently, we have 19 CNG stations operational in GA3 or Raigad.
You know that you added any breakup between what happened in Raigad and Mumbai?
There is no hard breakup as such, because again, the numbers are outcome of where we get the permissions, where we get the land, etc. But roughly it could be about approximately 25% to 1/3 could be in Raigad.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to one per participant. The next question is from the line of Mayur Patel from IIFL Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
So my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aishwarya Agarwal from Nippon India Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, can you share the volume which has gone because of schools are not operating and school buses are not running?
Well, unlike Delhi, we don't have too many school buses which are running on CNG. So the volume impact on account of that is negligible.
Thank you. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Probal Sen from Centrum Broking Limited for closing comments.
Thank you very much, Malika. I would like to thank the management for being so patient and taking. I know that there were a lot of questions. I apologize to some of the participants. We had to do a hard close at this time. One small question from my side, sir, if I can take the opportunity. You mentioned about the Uran-Trombay pipeline. Can I get a sense of what is the tariff now vis-a-vis what it was earlier? The transportation tariff in rupees per MMBTU or rupees per SCM, whatever you can share.
It's there on the regulator's website. I mean, it's number.
I think
or 34 rupees per MMBTU.
Approximately.
Okay.
This tariff we started paying from 7 July onwards.
Okay. All right, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So you can take it a round figure of 35 just for calculation.
Okay. Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. Thank you very much, sir, for taking the time to answer questions in such detail. I would like to thank everyone for participating. Sir, would you like to say some closing words?
No, thank you very much, and we also apologize due to these technical faults. I think we started off late, but hopefully we have tried to compensate a little bit by extending our time. Thank you very much to all for joining the call.
Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You may now log off from the call. Thanks.
Thank you. On behalf of Centrum Broking Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.